Okay, guys, we are on lesson 11.5 today. We are in the same packet as last week, packet number 2, or earlier in the week. Oh, that red pen's running out. Let's use green. And we are on page 64, okay? Let's just write that if it's hard to read. Page 64, okay? Today we're going to be talking about the distance and midpoint formulas, okay? So when we're talking about distance, it's the distance between 2 points. Okay, distance between 2 points. And those 2 points we usually label X, we always label X1, Y1 and X2, Y2. Okay, those are our 2 points. So if we're looking here between here and here, that's our distance right here, our distance between this point and this point, okay? And the distance formula is the square root of this whole thing, X2 minus X1 squared, and then we're gonna say plus the square root of y2 minus y1 squared. Don't forget those squared, and don't forget the square root sign. Okay, and I hope you can see kind of the connection to the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, if we're talking about midpoint, the definition is the point on a line segment that is, we're going to say equidistant from the two, from the two given endpoints. Okay, so if we're looking at this right here, the midpoint is going to be this M, which is the point that's equidistant from both A and B here, okay, which were the endpoints. So to find the midpoint, okay, we always use the letter M for midpoint, and it's like the midpoint of, and let's say a segment here, it would be AB. So it's the segment. We use that little line to show segment. And it's really just, if you want to think of it this way, the average, okay? And here's how we write the formula, M. You have to have that M and then a parenthesis, and it's just, I think you're going to find it easy, X1 plus X2 divided by 2, and you have Y1 plus Y2 divided by 2, and that's going to give you that midpoint on the coordinate plane, okay? Let's go ahead and do an example. We've got find the distance between the points listed below and show your work and provide exact and approximate answers, okay? So make sure you read the instructions. First thing I always do is label these X1, Y1, X2, Y2, okay? I always write out my distance formula first, just so I don't forget it. And it's X2 minus X1 squared plus Y2 minus Y1 squared, and you take the square root of the whole thing, okay? So we're going to go ahead now. It's just a matter of plugging and chugging, right? Let's see. We've got X2, which is -7, minus X1, which is 4, and we square it, plus Y2, which is 2, minus a -3. So minus a negative is plus 3, and we're going to square that, okay? We get D equals -11 squared plus 5 squared. Okay, that's going to give me D equals 121 plus 25, which is D equals 146, the square root of, okay? And I earlier, let's see, 146 divided by 4. Now, yeah, it doesn't go in. There's no perfect square that goes into D or to 146, so we're just going to say units. And there's my exact, okay, and my approx is going to be D equals approximately, let's see what the square root of 146 is. Probably 12.08. And again, we're going to say units. Okay? So that's how you do that. Why don't you, if I were you, I would stop the video, try to do this one on your own, and then check back with me to see what the answer is. Okay? That's how I would do this problem. Okay, so pause it. Okay. Hopefully you've had a chance to do it. I'm just going to show you what this problem looks like here. Okay? You stopped and did this one, so we labeled it, we plugged in our answers, and you should have gotten D equals 5, okay? Because you did 5 minus 2 squared plus 1 minus a -3, which is plus, so you got 9 plus 16, which is the square root of 25, so you just have one answer, which is 5 units, okay? Okay, moving right along, we are going to go to page 65. Okay, the distance between, this, super important that you understand this, okay? They give you the distance between the two points, which is 4 root 2, but they don't give you one of the coordinates, okay? So I go ahead and I set this up the exact same way. It just makes the math a little messier. We're going to have 5, comma, A, and we're going to have, what, 9, 6? Okay, so that's x1, y1, x2, y2, okay? Go ahead, I'm going to put my distance formula at the top, D equals, okay? We're going to have the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, okay? Oopsie, need a parenthesis there, don't I? Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we know the actual distance is 4 root 2, so I'm going to plug that in. 4 root 2 equals, we've got the square root of 9 minus 5 squared plus 6 minus A. Make sure it looks like an A so you don't get confused, because I know sometimes mine don't look like A's. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do some simplification. Square root of 2 equals, that's going to be 4 squared plus, okay, 6 minus A. We've got to FOIL that out. I'm going to do that over here. 6 minus A times 6 minus A is going to give me 36. Minus 6A is minus 12A plus A squared. So I'm going to go ahead and reverse that so it's actually in the nice order. We've got plus A squared minus 12A plus 36. All goes into the square root. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I've got 4 root 2. That becomes 16. Let's see, we've got A squared minus 12A. 16 plus 36 is going to give me 52. Okay, so now I hope you see that because we have square root on both sides, we just need to square both sides. Okay, and that's going to give me, let's see, 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 2 is going to give me 32. This is going to be A squared minus 12A plus 52. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to move everything to the right side, subtract 32. I get A squared minus 12A, what is that, plus 20 equals 0. I hope that you see right away that that can be minus 2 minus 10, because that gives you negative 12, and multiplied it gives you 20. So I'm going to do that. A minus 2, A minus 10, and that gives me A equals 2 and A equals 10. And there's your answer, okay? I think that's a fun little problem, personally. Okay, I want you to stop the video, and I want you to try 2B on your own, and then come back to me, okay, when you're done. Okay, hopefully you did that one. And if you want to look at the answer here, I've got D equals 3 plus 1 because it was minus a negative, plus B minus 2 squared equals the square root, cross that off, of 41. You go ahead and you do the math, and you get B equals 7, and you get B equals negative 3. Okay, and you can have negatives for this because these are just endpoints, right? Okay, check that over. I started to say I was confused on that. Okay, so those are your answers. That's supposed to be 7. You can't really see it. And B equals negative 3. Okay? Okay, good. Let's keep moving. We're in the home stretch here. We are actually, let's see here. What am I doing? What am I doing? 5. Okay, we are on page 66. Okay? Let's do some midpoints now because we've been doing distance. Let's look at 3A. Okay, I'm going to label these x1, y1, x2, y2. Oh, we're on page 66. Sorry for those of you who don't know where we're at. Okay, super easy. Midpoint is going to be x1 plus x2 over 2. And then we've got y1 plus y2 over 2. Okay, just finding the averages of each point. So m is going to be, let's see, negative 3 plus negative 1 over 2. And the y value is going to be 7 plus 11 over 2. Negative 3 plus negative 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. 7 plus 11 is 18. 18 divided by 2, 9. There's your midpoint, negative 2, 9. Okay? Excuse me. Okay, let's look at 3C. I'm just going to label these x1, y1, x2, y2. You can see, I'm just going to copy that over. There's my formula. Okay? So we've got 5 plus 13 over 2. We've got 12 plus 8 over 2. That's going to give me what? 18 over 2 is going to be 9. Oh, we got another 9. 12 plus 8 is 20 divided by 2. is 10, and there's your midpoint. So I think you can see that those are not that hard of problems. Okay, on example 4, the midpoint and an endpoint of the line segment are given. Find the other endpoint. Okay, so remember you have like a line here. Let's say this is x. Okay, and you've got an endpoint. We'll say that's -2, 4. We've got something right here. We don't know what it is. Actually, I shouldn't even say that because we're talking about x. So we have -2 here. We have something, my x value, we'll say over here. Okay, and we need to know, and we know the midpoint is, well, it's going to be on this side. Okay, so cross that off. Ignore me. The point is that we need to find the average. -2 plus something is going to give me 3. So we're going to say x is 2, -2, -2 plus, we don't know what the other endpoint is, so it's x, and we're going to divide it by 2, and we do that, we're going to get the midpoint, which is 3. Now I'm going to do some cross multiplication here, okay? 2 times 3 is 6, equals -2 plus x, add 2, we get x equals 8. So there's the x value of my other endpoint. Okay, now we'll do y, the y, this was the x over here. We've got an endpoint of, what does that say, -4? We don't know the other endpoint. Remember, we have 2 points on either end, and we're finding the midpoint, which is -3. So -4 plus y over 2 equals -3. Okay, let's do some cross multiplication. We get -6 equals -4 plus y. We add 4. We get y equals -2. Okay, my answer is 8, -2. That's my other endpoint. You can always check this by plugging it back in, doing the midpoint formula, and seeing if it works. But I can guarantee you it does because I already tried it. Okay, last page. We're in the home stretch. Shorter video today. I'm sure you're all happy. We are on page 67. Okay. This one's kind of a pain, honestly. Example 5. Find the distance between each of the points below and then determine if the points form a right triangle. Okay, so let's do this. Let's say x1, y1, x2, y2, and then let's call this x3, y3. Okay, so basically we have to find the distance. So if we had a triangle here, we're finding the distance between these 2 points, which is going to be like A. Find the distance between these 2 points, which would be like B. The distance between these 2 points, which would be like C. And then we have to use the Pythagorean. So I'm going to do, we're going to call this point 1, point 2, point 3. Okay, so first let's do point 1 to point 2. Okay, I'm going to do distance equals, and let's write the distance formula down here in case we've forgotten it. Distance equals the square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. Okay, distance equals the square root of, let's do these 2 points first. 0 minus a -5 is 0 plus 5 squared plus -4 minus a -2, which is -4 plus 2 squared. We get distance equals, that's what, 25? That's -2 squared, which is going to be 4. So we get distance equals the square root of 29. Now I'm just going to leave them. I'm not going to find approximates. We don't actually need it for this one, and you'll see why. Okay, let's switch colors just so we don't run together. Let's do the distance between point 2 to point 3. Okay, we've got distance equals, so that's here and here. So we're going to use these 2 sets of points. We've got the square root of -2 minus 0 plus 3 minus a -4, which is 3 plus 4 squared. Here we get distance equals, that's 4 plus 7 squared is 49. So we get distance equals square root of 53, okay? Now we're going to do this last one. We'll do from point, so we did 1 to 2, 2 to 3. Now let's do 1 to 3, point 1 to 3, okay? And we're going to do distance equals the square root of -2 plus 5 squared plus what? 3 plus 2 squared. Let's see if I can fit that in there. 3 plus 2 squared. Okay, we're going to get distance equals -2 plus 5 is 3. 3 squared is 9. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So we get the square root of 34. Okay, now we found the distance between each, and it's a triangle. It's told us, that it's a right, that we're trying to determine if it's a right triangle. Okay, so this is what we do. The distance between 2 points is really just that side length, okay? So we're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Which side is the longest? Looks like this one, so we know the longest is always the hypotenuse. So I'm going to put square root of 53, and we're going to square it. And then we'll do square root of 29 squared plus square root of 34 squared equals that. And that's what we're trying to do to determine if it is a right triangle. So that's 29 plus 34. And I can see, let's see, that's 9, 3, 4, 6. That's 63. And we know 63 does not equal 53. So in conclusion, not a right triangle, okay? And I think that's plenty for today. We're right at the 15-minute mark, which is about what I wanted to do. And yeah, that's it. Take care.